Ron the Pom Kingsnorth took Amen Corner to #1, turned down the Beatles, fought against the Kray brothers. I'm joined today with Ron. Ron, thank you for coming.
That's okay, mate. It's a pleasure to be here.
So Ron, I want to know what your childhood was like. What were your parents like growing up?
Oh, lovely, really, really lovely. My father was a tough old fella.
Yeah.
You know, used to dig roads for a living. My mum was typical old Cockney mum. Stayed at home, looked after the kids, and just tried to make sure we had something to eat.
Yep.
You know, so.
And did you have any siblings?
I have an older brother.
How much older was he?
Just over 2 years older than me. Then there's me, then it's my younger brother Fred, who unfortunately has now passed away.
How much younger was he?
2 years younger.
Yep.
And my sister, who roughly is two and a half years younger, maybe three years younger, I think.
Yep. And how did you get along with your brothers and sisters growing up?
Good, excepting for my oldest brother.
Yep.
The truth is about my oldest brother, honestly, he was a complete and utter rat bag from day one, and I would say to the day he died.
Really?
There's things I do about his family, his own family, that is not very pleasant. But anyway, he's passed away as well anyway, so.
Yep. And so how was school for you?
I'm sorry?
How was school?
School?
Yeah.
What school? It was nice when it was cold.
Yeah.
It's strange to talk about school. I did have, strange enough, it was in Lordship Lane. Do you actually want to know what an incident and what actually happened at school with me?
Yeah, I did.
Well, I went in one day and there was a gardening lesson, and my class, whatever it was gardening. So as I walked in, they were halfway through it, and they just said to me, he said, the teacher said, over there, grab that. And he gave me a fork, and I had to dig something up, I don't know. And teaching us how to dig and turn it over, and I wasn't interested. But at the time, when I left home, I said to my mum, I've got bad pains in my stomach here on the right, and she said, oh, you'll be all right, son. You know, you've been to the toilet? And I said, no, not this morning. No. Oh, you'll be all right when you go to the toilet. And anyway, the pain someone got to school, and there it was gardening lesson, and he said, the teacher said, turn that over, and I said, I can't. I've got a pain in my stomach here, it's hurting me, I can't turn it over. And he said, there's a told Kingsnorth, turn it over, and whatever I had to turn over. I had no interest in school anyway, and I said, I can't. I keep telling you I've got pains in my stomach on the right, and I couldn't. And he screamed at me, and I lost my temper, and I got the fork, and I went whack, and I slung it at him. And fortunately, he jumped backwards and landed into the ground, just right in front of him. Well, that was me in trouble. I went up, going before the headmaster, and he gives me that hand. His name was Bruce Woodley, the headmaster, and he was a wicked bag of whatever you want to call him. Yeah. And he gave me 6 on the right hand and 6 on the left. In those days, it used to be a cane. That's my, if you want, other than sitting on radiators to get warm, I really didn't know what to do with school.
So how old were you when that whole incident with the teacher?
I think I was I was 14 actually.
Okay.
Yeah, they actually took me to the hospital straight away because I was in serious pain, and they got me. I had appendicitis.
Oh wow. So did you get that taken out when you were 14?
Yeah. A strange incident there, but it never worked.
Really?
She was a lovely nurse that looked after me. I was going out. That was actually being discharged from hospital. And of course, like an idiot, I came on to her, and of course she's a much older woman. She's an old lady. She was about 23.
So was that when you were 14?
Yeah. And she's like, I can't.
So what ended up happening with the teacher that got smacked?
Fortunately, it landed, he jumped backwards.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I just lost my temper because he wouldn't listen to me.
Yeah.
And he didn't believe me for being what I was. And he knew that I wasn't interested in school. And he thought I was giving him another bullshit, and I wasn't. And I did. I had appendicitis, and they operated on me straight away.
So did you keep going to the school after that? Did you see the teacher again?
I never really attended school very much.
Okay, yeah.
I was too busy educating myself.
How were you educating yourself?
Tea leaving, thieving here and there, and climbing up the odd ladder here and there.
What were you doing climbing up ladders?
Going around the posh areas, and in those days, if there was a television area was sticking up, that meant they were poshed out of television. So every now and again, used to undo a window here and there and climb in, and I used to go upstairs, and what a lot of men used to do in those days was on a Friday night, take their clothes off, drop it on the bed after going to the pub after work, and of course their wage packet would be in the trousers, and I'd creep in the bedroom and go and grab the trousers and grab the packet, the wage packet, and out I'd go.
So what age did you start doing that?
Well, I suppose I was they call it creeping. I suppose I was creeping at the age of about 13, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long did you do that for?
About 3 years. Okay. Yeah, about 3 years.
Why did you stop? Did you get caught?
No, I didn't. Strange enough, because we couldn't afford to put television, and my dad had just died, and I know that my mum, she wasn't very well. That brought up their point, as you know, they have a ready battery. So one night one day I was walking around the streets, I saw a television aerial, and I thought, this is handy. So, they got money. And I thought, I'll see if I can nick the television. So this was at the end of Risley Avenue. Coming out of Topham Square, you turn right. That's Risley Avenue, left and right is Risley Avenue. And across the main road, and then further along, and that became a posher area. And I got to the house with the television aerial and had done the window and crept in, and I got a black and white. In those days it was just black and white. It was a 9-inch television, and I couldn't believe it. Oh, my mum. And so I got the television, and I thought, this is it. Mum would be so pleased. And I'm walking, and then all of a sudden, right at the end, I saw a uniformed copper walking along on his own, walking past, and I saw him look up, so I went whoosh over the not the fence, it was a hedge. And as you probably know that in England, people like their nice hedges around their little gardens and front garden. And I carried on walking down because whenever I went housebreaking, I thought of it. Do you really want to know? Do you really want to know what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, well I'll tell you then. I thought of a way that I used to put a bit of lipstick down here or a bit on my collar, and of course coppers in those days wore a torch and a little truncheon. And anyway, I had this television, and up over the fence it went, over the edge it went. I walked down, and the copper there went, "Where have you been?" I said, "I've seen the girlfriend on him," and he's got his torch in front of my face. And because he saw lipstick here and, got smeared down there, which obviously I'd done. I pinched a bit of my mum's, and that was down there. And he said, "Okay, you better get home, son. This time of night you should be home in bed." And I said, "Okay, so I'm off." And I walked on towards Topham Square, and he walked along. He went on his merry way. And once he disappeared, I went back. And immediately went into that garden, picked up the television, went in, and I fixed it up. And being in an old block of flats, it was up. So it seemed that it didn't need an aerial, because all I did, playing around with it, I turned it on and it went, but there was nothing on there. I think television came to an end at a certain time at night, I'm not sure, but it actually worked. And my mum come out of bed that one morning and called, "Oh, Ron, where did you get this?" I said, "I've been shopping, Mum. I kept it a secret." And, my mum, being a very kind and gentle, she was a very beautiful, kind, gentle woman. She knew I wasn't telling the truth, but she knew I wasn't going to tell her the fact, so she wasn't going to waste her time. And she spent many good hours watching that black and white 9-inch television, which I'm only too willing to tell you that when my mum passed away, who eventually pinched it off of my mum, who, as I say, when she passed away, but sorry.
How long did your mum have that TV for?
Oh, until she passed away.
Okay.
Yeah. Prior to that, because she was, she had a very bad heart.
Okay.
And she worked at a place called Ever Ready Batteries.
Yep.
And do you want to know the story of that?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Okay, well, she got fired because she wasn't capable of carrying on working physically at Ever Ready Batteries. And as far as I was concerned, that was my mum. And when my mum came home, I remember she coming home and crying. And back to what I said to you before, payback time. I I've got to get you somehow. So I got hold of a mate, and I said to him, I thought of an idea. You can drive, can't you? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, can you pinch a little van? He said, before. I said, well, what I want to do is get a van and find a bitch on eat. And in those days, no cameras and no guards. They used to put dogs in yards around these factories. And so one day, this mate of mine, and I can't remember his name now because it was a one-off event, and he said, I've got one. Yeah, and this was a bitch on heat. So I said, good. So we jumped in this old van and drove out there to Rinia Battery, which was quite away from where my mum was. And of course we got the bitch, slung her over the chain gates there, and the dogs took off after her, of course. And of course, then with a pair of old bolt cutters, we smashed them open and broke in and filled the van up full of batteries and went all round Topham Square and Lordship Lane, which is same as Topham Square, all that, and Risley Avenue. I was selling batteries, and of course, in no time, everybody was buying batteries because you couldn't get batteries, so you couldn't get them cheap. Mine were cheap.
So how many batteries do you think he stole, just roughly?
Oh, I got no idea. We filled the van up. It was just a small van.
Filled the whole van?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I filled it up. It was only a small van, but we filled it full of, I can't tell you the sort of size of batteries. They're all batteries. Yeah. And all in boxes and crates and things. So we just slung them all in there. Pile of them. And that was
okay. So after you got through the gate, you just walked through the front door and just carried out boxes of batteries?
Yeah, just tipped them out. There's batteries everywhere, just getting the crate and filling up the van.
How did you get inside? Were the doors just...
smashing in, no, we just smashed in, the dogs are gone.
Oh, you smashed through?
Oh, yeah, we'd gone through the gates and the doors were nothing in those days. Okay.
So did you smash the doors with the car?
No, I just kicked it and smashed the door and got in into the factory, and there's just... I'd never been in before, never been in there since. There was all batteries everywhere, lying all over the place. It was sort of a warehouse thing.
So what age was that?
Blimey. Roughly 15, I think, yeah.
15?
14, yeah, 14, something like that.
During that time, and when your mother had the television, where was your father in all of that?
My dad died of cancer by then. Yeah, he died and that's why I was very upset for my poor mum. She had, there was no such thing as people giving you money and pensions and God knows what. There was some sort of pension, but it wasn't enough to feed us all. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, I did have a younger brother and younger sister. My oldest brother had already gone.
Yep.
He left at the ripe old age of 15.
Oh, wow. What did your mum think of you stealing all the batteries?
Well, she didn't see him.
Oh, she never found out?
No.
Okay.
No, nobody did.
So did you never get caught for that?
My mum never went out. She was very ill. Mm-hmm. Oh, she was very ill, my mum. Bad heart and that, so she never went out, and we done her shopping,
Did you ever get caught for stealing the batteries? Because obviously your mum just got fired, and then as soon as she got fired, the place gets robbed.
Yeah, no, never got caught.
Wow.
No, got away with that one.
That's amazing.
Maybe I'll get caught now.
So that's when you were 15. So let's go back a bit more. When you were growing up as a kid, did you ever have any trouble with the other kids at all?
Yeah, but not a lot. I really was a loner, and I think I learnt through time. If you did anything, you're better off doing it on your own. I did make a couple of mistakes, and one was, as I've already said to you, about Charlie Wicks. And further down the track there's another fella. I can even remember his name, but this was a housebreaking.
Yeah.
But that's later down the track. Yeah, I even remember his name.
Wow. So as a kid, say between 5 and 10, did you ever get picked on by any of the other kids?
Oh yeah, we were always having punch-ups. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was part of growing up.
Okay. So it was a pretty rough place, wasn't
it? Yeah. I mean, having punch-ups was quite normal. You know, we'd stay in a circle, not like these imbeciles now. All they can think of is carrying silly knives and being like sort of, they won't want to be Al Capone with a knife in their hands. Back in those days, we had a punch-up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the whole idea of getting payback, when did that start?
It came back right to Galway Street where I was born.
Okay.
With my grandfather, which you know about.
Yeah. So what's that story again?
Well, that's when an older kid gave me a hiding, and I cried my eyes out and banged on his door, and I said, he just hit me. Look at my face, and I had blood coming out my face. And
whose door did you bang on? Sorry.
My grandfather.
Okay.
One of my grandfathers. He stayed in Galway Street, and I think as long as I because being only a kid, I couldn't 100% say for sure, but I'm sure he passed away there.
Okay.
But he gave me the brick to give him a payback and said, go out there and don't ever let anybody get away with anything. If they do something to you, you always remember, pay them back. So I went out and immediately gave him a spanking with a brick. It was a broken brick he put in my hand. Yeah. And of course he went down and I went in and told me, I don't know what I've done with him, but he's on the ground, crying his eyes out. He said, don't worry about it. You paid him back, forget it. So I did. As far as I know, that's all I know.
So how did you get him? So you just went and found the kid and just smacked him?
He was sitting in the street, in Galway Street. I mean, that's where we hung out. Okay. That's where we were born there. We all hung out there.
Yeah. And so what, did you walk up behind him? Were you
facing him? No, I walked straight up to him. I said, come here, prick. And as he come up, I went bang, I hit him with a brick in my hand.
And he just fell to the floor and you ran away?
Oh yeah, he went down like a bag of crap, and that was the end of that.
So that's when you first learned payback. What age was that?
Oh, blimey. I don't know, 8 maybe.
8?
7, 8, 9 could be.
So did you ever get in trouble for that? I mean, if you were right in the street.
No. People in those days, it's not like today. It's not like today. Things are different. In those days, you never called the coppers. Even as kids. I say you never did, some people did, but in the East End, you never called the old bill. Yep. Sorry, coppers. That's Cockney for a place. No, I never got in trouble with that. And
did you find out what happened to the kid? Was the kid okay?
Oh, he was all right. If he'd have been dead, I would have remembered.
Yeah. That's right.
You know, so, no. That was just part of my learning, I suppose, of payback.
So what sort of person was your grandfather? If he's encouraging that sort of behaviour at 8, what sort of character was he?
I can't honestly answer that. Because he me being a kid and him being an old man, to me, old man, that's it. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
So really, and I didn't have really a lot to do with him. He lived in Galway Street on the other side, a little bit further along, but keep in mind, I can't remember because my interest as a kid was playing games and, you know, having a talk and having a walk and, you know.
Yeah.
So, see if we can, maybe you might pick up.
And so, what was your first job like? Did you ever work a job or?
Yeah. The first one was a baker's apprentice.
Yeah. And where was that at?
Sorry?
Where was that?
That was in Tottenham.
Yeah.
I tried that out.
Okay. And what age, roughly?
Oh, 15, I think I was there. Yeah, 15. They got me riding the bloody bike with a frame in the front and delivering. They more or less used me as a runaround boy, and he had a shop in Wood Green as well. And the apprenticeship was in Tottenham, just not far from Topham Square.
Yeah.
So I used to ride a bike with a tray in the front with bread on it, delivering to the Wood Green shop.
So was that your only job, just riding the bike and delivering?
Oh no, that was. Then I worked for Hemmings Bakery.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I mean, as a baker's apprentice, were you making the bread, or were you just the delivery?
They used to make it there, and I used to watch them. It was quite interesting, made by hand and banging it and rolling it over, and flapping the ends and rolling it, and then putting it in trays and putting it in the oven. I used to watch them, but I couldn't see myself doing it.
Okay.
You know, so I just had to leave.
Yeah.
You know. But,
and so after you left, what did you do after that?
Well, I worked the barrows. I worked at Price's Bread. Okay. Hemmings first. Yeah. My brother worked at Hemmings, my oldest brother. Yeah. And I used to pull a barrow and I used to deliver, and it's strange because it doesn't look it, I know, but in those days I had sort of brown curly hair.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I used to, in the afternoon sometimes I'd go around, and especially on the day when I had to collect their money, it's strange where it was usually those days when they'd say, "Oh, you look so cold, son, why don't you come in and get warm?" And occasionally I went in there and I'd have the occasional mother going, "Oh, you put a cup of tea, son," and I'd rub my hand on my leg there. I had a few of those. And it was quite good. Of course, it was all new to me, so I enjoyed every minute of it. And, you know, I couldn't object. If they were ugly, of course, I would immediately be busy and had to go.
Did things ever go further than just the leg rubbing?
Yes. Well, occasionally they got it out and played with it a bit, you know, which was quite good, and I enjoyed it. Yeah.
So what age was that?
15.
15?
15, wow. 16, yeah. Yeah, it was quite...
There was a lot going on when you were 15?
A lot going on all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was quite good. That was when I was younger, though. Yeah. Of course.
Now, I heard that you had a business venture when you were very young. Can you tell me about that?
Oh, that was in Galway Street. It was an idea I came up with as a kid. it was in the war, and in those days, if you got anything metal, it was worth money. So I thought of an idea. I used to pick up, if I found a marble, I'd pick it up and put it in my pockets, and coloured stone or find a bit of silver thing. And I thought of an idea of roll up, 3 goes 1 pen. And I drawed on the pavement. But strange enough, in Galway Street where we lived, and then there was another company that was all joined together, big row of houses. And then at the end there was a chimney sweep's shop. Yeah. We called it a shop, and all it was this guy used to go out cleaning chimneys with a big brush. And it was outside the chimney sweep's shop because it's closed at night time, of course. And nobody had their houses, had their chimneys cleaned over night time. Yep. And I roll up, 3 goes 1 pen, and it was quite successful. When I used to go home, my mum used to give me a big cuddle, and I'd give her other safety pins. But my brother Tom, and I don't get any enjoyment saying this because he's now passed away, but you've asked me a question, I'll tell you the truth. He came along and kicked it to pieces, and because he was just over 2 years older, and of course 2 years, a big difference in kids, he was bigger, so I had to cop that one.
So did that start the problems?
Oh, look, with me, I was an idiot. I put up with him all my life. He died a very wealthy man, and that is another story. And things went on with him. He could never make any money. The only way he could make money was thieving it off of me, which was later in life when I started in the club business.
So going back to the marbles and the coloured stones, how did the game work exactly? So you would collect these safety pins.
Safety pins, yeah.
Yeah, and so how did the game work?
Well, you threw the loop, and if you got the loop over, say, a marble, and it went over it and stayed there, that belonged to the kid.
Okay, so you would put the marbles on the ground, and they would throw the hoops.
Coloured stones and bits and pieces I'd find in the street, and I'd spend days walking around the streets collecting bits and pieces and putting them in my pocket.
And how would that work? Would they throw the hoops from a distance?
Yeah, from the edge of the pavement, and it was on the chalk line from the outside his old window cleaning shop. And it was 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's 1 to 10 or 1 to 12, whatever it was.
And so how did this game work? Because most of the kids would have been in school, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So how did it work if the kids were in school?
Well, they'd get a safety pin. 1 safety pin wasn't worth anything. Yeah. But a string of them, of course, was worth. How much my mum got, I have no idea. It would only been pennies, but it would have been enough to buy a loaf of bread. Yeah. You know, and I'd get a string of them. And it was very hard to get a little loop. If you tried it out and stood at the head of a pavement and you try and get a loop, a small loop round a stone over there, it's very hard to get that over it. So, needless to say, you know, I didn't lose much. Yeah. And I had nothing to lose anyway, because it's only stuff I found in the streets.
Yeah. I suppose what I'm asking is, how did you find kids to play the game? Because most of them would have been in school, right?
Yeah.
So how did you get them to come and play?
After school.
Oh, after school. Okay.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
there were only kids. I mean, it wasn't school. It was wherever they went. I can't remember.
Okay. So while the other kids were at school, you were walking around collecting the stones and then
collecting stones. Okay. And marbles. If you found a marble, that was kids love marbles. You play marbles, and that was one of our games. You know, kids played marbles.
Yeah, of course,
yeah, I don't know if they do to this day, but
So how long did that last before your older brother came in?
I don't know to be exact. To be honest with you, my dislike for the man makes my memory a bit short on it, but I would say that it would have lasted no longer than a month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 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 it was all over. He was kicked to the pieces, and what could I do? He was older and bigger.
So how old was he at that stage, and how old were you?
Well, I was about 7, 8, and of course that made him 10.
Okay, so he was quite a bit bigger.
Yeah, so, yeah.
And what did your parents think of you doing this business?
What, roll up, 3 goes 1
Yeah.
thing?
Well, what did your mum and dad think?
My dad didn't care because it was quite an honest, it's quite an honest living.
Yeah.
You know, not a living, but an honest game. If they got the loop round the marble or the coloured stone or whatever, I might find a nice little coloured hairpin or something like that. You know, lady drops a hairpin and all that. You find them in the street, and they have got a loop round it. The kiddie they used to like that and take that home. It'd be good for them, you know.
And you mentioned that you were shoplifting with Charlie Wicks for a bit. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Well, yeah, Charlie wanted to go shoplifting with me, but it didn't last long. Well, we were green, and it was in Wars, and I said to him in there, I said, I eyeballed somebody there, and I thought, hello, we've been spotted. And I forget what we pinched, but I had something. And I said, we better tow it, Charlie. That guy's got us. And of course, we both went bang, run, different directions. He got caught, and I went straight to school. And of course, then the coppers came to school and got me. And Charlie being a young man, a young kid, of course, coppers had no big deal. You know, he told them, which I suppose all kids would do.
Mm. You know. So was that the last that you saw of? Was that the last you saw of Charlie?
No, it's a strange story, but many years later, well, I got in a remand home, and when I came out of the remand home, I went round to after I weighed off and I got probation. I had to wait until I got the whole case settled, and then I went round Wicks's house, and the lady answered the door. It wasn't his parents. And she said, oh no, they've moved, they've gone to New Zealand. Oh, wow. So, because by then I did have a reputation of being a bit, I wasn't violent. I never caused any violence to anybody unless they caused it with me. So, but it did turn out that I got as a kid, got a reputation.
So you started to get a bit of a reputation. What age was that the thing with Charlie happened?
Oh, 14.
14. So by 14 you already had a reputation?
Yeah, 14, yes, I'll be roughly 14. Keep in mind, 14, 15, it to me would be the same.
Okay. So around 14, 15, you got the job as a baker's apprentice, and you were also doing the shoplifting.
At 15, I got a job as a baker's apprentice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how much of it was the honest work, the bakers, and how much of it was the shoplifting?
Well, I went shoplifting for quite a lot of years. Later on in time, a fellow called, let's call him Benny, his second name was Bennett, but in fairness to him, we used to go pinching LP records,
Okay.
and we were very good at it. But that's later down the track. Yeah.
So I suppose what I'm asking is, what made you stick with the shoplifting and the thieving versus the baking and doing honest work? Was it the money, or was it that you enjoyed thieving more? What do you think it was?
Well, what else could I do?
Yeah.
Either at the work or thief.
Yeah. And so what made you choose the thieving? Was it the money, the thrill?
No, Benny and I went shoplifting. It was pretty professional.
Okay.
You know, pinching LP records. Because Benny was about 6'1", tall and slim, he could wear an outsized raincoat. And of course, in England, you could wear a raincoat summer and winter. And I was what they call the G-man, and I was my game there was taking people's attention. And we had a very interesting experience later on down the track.
How would you get the attention of the people in the store?
Oh, well, I'll give you one example which actually got me in serious trouble. I would, we poor at night, don't know what town it was, but we were driving around and prior to that, we were driving around and we came through into this small town, and there was outside the shop, people used to go and have their lunch break.
Yep.
And there was all these fridges and things and washing machines and things, you know, like that, and with a strap round them, I would have noticed clothes for lunch, you know.
Yeah.
And I said to Benny one day, we go up there and we get a couple of schmucks, they call them schmucks, and white coat things,
Okay.
you know, like, and we go there, and while they're sleeping, we'll go up there and do there and put a couple in the van, you know. So we did a couple of weeks later, whenever.
So how did you do that? So the people went for lunch break, and
Yeah.
then did you go in there and take the records? Is that what you're saying?
No. You asked me a question there about what we did. It wasn't just only shoplifting. This was something that I thought of as we were driving through the village. I saw this shop there with a strap round it with these with the clothes for lunch and sign up there, and I said that we should get a van and we go and pinch a couple of those while they're sleeping. So we got an old van, rented a van, and drove into that village and done that with our white coats, pretended we were putting it there, and undone it, loaded a couple of fridges, or whatever they were. I forget what the fridges and washing machines, whatever they were. And put them in the van, and away we went. That was it. Yeah, but never went back there.
Yeah.
But it was mainly shoplifting, you know.
And so I guess sort of going back to the question what I asked before, because I'm pretty curious. Was it the money that made you go with the shoplifting?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was the money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. 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 And because Benny was good and I was good at the G, Would you like to know of an experience that we went through in one shop? Well, if you asked me the name of the town, I wouldn't know. We hired an Austin 7 car, and we've been driving everywhere trying to find where we could pinch some LPs. And we had a place to sell them as well, a place in the Elephant and Castle, which is South London, over London Bridge. And we saw this store there, and I said, hey, look at that, bloody LPs all in the window. So we pulled up and went downstairs, and there was a young lady serving. And of course, once again, my job was the G-man, and Benny being tall and slim, he could walk in and out quietly without, and it might sound unbelievable, but we got so many LPs out of there while I was romancing with this young lady. I even promised her I'd come back and take her out on a date, and of course, by then we could afford a suit and a tie. Then we're pretty posh, So, and I done a bit of romance in there, and we got so many LPs in the boot of that Austin 7 that we literally drove back to the Elephant and Castle from way out in the country, more or less with the front wheels coming up and down off the road. And the automatic cars in those days, of course, the gear change, and it was going bouncing, and it was full of LPs. And we had a guy who used to be a wholesaler in LPs, and he'd buy all the bent ones.
Okay, yeah, that was my next question actually. So, yeah, how did you go about selling all of the stolen goods?
Well, it's just, thank you for asking that, because this is a strange story, but this is at the Elephant and Castle, which, being an East Ender, you're always in doubt. But anyway, this guy never really gave us a good cut for what we sold him. But anyway, one day we went in there, and I said to Benny, I'm gonna pay him back, this bastard. And he bought a lot of LPs, and of course his place was stacked full of them. And with him buying the LPs, I was selling them, and Benny went bomb and pinched loads from him because he was ripping us off.
Okay.
We were risking going in jail or going in Borstal every bloody day, or every time when he was ripping us off. We had nobody else to go to, only him. And so I gave him a payback. And I got him talking, and Benny was pinching a load of LPs from there as I was selling them there, and I was pointing out and saying, see that there, I see plenty of those around, would you like some of those? Next time I go out, we'll have a look for those over there. What about those up there, and of course and while I'm taking his attention away, Benny go whoops. And as I said, he was about 6'1" tall and slim, and so that was my payback to that one fella.
So, were you selling the gear to him in his shop or his house, or?
Well, he had a shop, but he bought bent LPs. Okay. It was a pretty big shop, and being the Elephant and Castle, nobody's straight there. It's the same as the East End. they're all bent, and he was bent, and he used to rip us off. So I said to him, Benny, one day I'm going to give him a payback. And we actually pinched our own LPs that we'd sold him maybe a week or days beforehand. And gone back, and that was the last time we ever went near the guy. I decided we'd had enough. Yep. But by then, we were fading out of shoplifting. It was going past that stage.
Okay. So we'll come back to the shoplifting with Benny, but I'm curious, what was your first experience thieving? What's the earliest memory you have of thieving?
Thieving?
Yeah.
Oh, blimey. To be honest with you, I can't remember. Yep. I just cannot remember my earliest experience. I suppose would be housebreaking. You know, or memory would be housebreaking, yeah, as a kid.
And what age was that roughly?
Oh, 14.
Okay, so you started at 14?
I was creeping at 14, yeah. Okay.
And how would that work? How did you get into the house?
Oh, knife and just bomb in those days, city catches, you know, and just put a knife between the window and just bomb on it, slide it up and go in.
So what sort of stuff would you take?
Oh, anything was there.
Just anything?
Radios, wireless. In those days it was called wirelesses, and
yep.
You know, clothes. And as I say, sometimes if it was a posh house, he'd creep up. Well, they're all posh houses, but you know that he's got plenty of money in if nobody woke up. We always had an outside. You always have an outside man. In other words, Benny would be on the outside. I was good at creeping, just creeping in. And if the lights went on upstairs, in no way would he ever call out Ron. It went, quick! And that meant tow it. And one day that did actually happen. And out I go, and of course I'd dive out of the room and bang. They were posh, they had a telephone as well. So as I'd run out through the front door, grab the phone, and all bang. So they couldn't phone the coppers, and away I went, and that was it. Wow. Yeah.
So how often did that happen? How often did Benny have to tell you?
Well, I finished up going with a guy later on with a fellow called Michael Hurley. Michael John Hurley, his name was. He was much older than me. And he got nicked and, of course, dumped me in. And his defence was that I taught him how to do it. Okay.
So how old were you and how old was Hurl?
I was 16 I think at the time. Yeah. And he was 23, 24, okay. An old man. And of course, him being, I went in the juvenile court, but he came because I was under the age of 18. So he went to the senior court, and he went, and his defence was that I taught him about the housebreak, and I took him and taught him. Well, that wasn't correct, but so my defence was, my lawyer's idea, not mine, was, Your Honour, here is a man of whatever age he was, I forget exactly, but that was definitely his name, Michael John Hurley. Yep. And here's a man saying that this young child under the age taught him how to housebreak, and he's already got convictions for it. when I got probation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, how did you meet Michael John Hurley?
Oh, I don't know. I've got no idea. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Tottenham, masses of people.
Of course. Have you got any other stories with the housebreaking? Anything?
Oh yeah, I've got many stories, but one in particular. This was in Edmonton. I was out, of course, by then. I'd learnt my lesson from Hurley. From that day on my own, and I'm in there, and I toiled a house and got in, and of course, there's so many coppers in those days had bells in there on their cars, and they called it ding ding ding, and it was a sort of a street like that, so there was only two ways out, there or there, and the coppers, I could hear them on each door knocking, waking people up. Is there everything okay? You see, you know.
So was this after you'd broken into a house?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so this was afterwards, and then the cops got called?
I'm just coming out.
Okay.
Coming out, and I could hear the coppers, and I thought, blimey, I'm going to get done here. And of course, in those days, by then, I could afford better clothes and that, so I roughed that all up. But fortunately, I looked over the fence next door, and there was a bike, a push bike. So I went over that, and I pulled that over, and I got my clothes and roughed it all up, and I put me trousers in my socks, and made myself look all rough and ready and all ready for work. And I got on the bike and I pedalled past all these coppers. I'm going to work because I look quite honest. I'm pushing this bike, pedaling away there, and I rode past the coppers. Off I went, and never got pinched for that one.
So, where did you have all the stolen goods? Were they just in your pockets?
Oh yeah. I mean, I couldn't go there with anything big. The coppers would have seen it, but I don't even know if I had anything. I can't remember if I had. But I'd broken into the house anyway. But regardless whether I had or not, I was going to get caught for it anyway.
So that was after Michael John Hurley. So what age was that roughly?
Well, as I said, he was 20, whatever he was, and I was only 16. I was around 17 then. You know.
So
16.
So were you not with Benny at that stage?
No, Benny by then. I tell a lie. With Benny, he wasn't in the housebreaking game.
Okay.
He was more shoplifting.
Okay.
So housebreaking was what I did from a kid upwards. So, but Benny never got involved in that at all.
Okay. So, when did Benny stop being the guy outside that was telling you if you woke people up?
Oh, a couple of times. Benny got nervous about it. And he decided, because it's in the middle of the night, he decided no. It wasn't him, and I don't blame him for that. He was right. No.
So you didn't want to get payback on him for that?
No, because it was a mutual arrangement. You know, if he didn't want to go shoplifting one day, we never went. He didn't go, or I'd go on my own, or you know. It was a choice, but Benny and I never controlled each other. Sometimes he came, sometimes he didn't. Never a problem.
So at this stage, say 16, you've been doing all the shoplifting, you've been doing a very good job. How much money did you start to have by that stage? Were you starting to become sort of posh, wealthy at all?
Nothing.
Really?
No. Well, spent it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, we had to live.
Okay.
You know, I had to feed my mum, and I still had my younger brother. And they eventually got married and moved on. But anyway.
And so, what did your mum think about it? Did your mum know that you were?
She passed away. Keep in mind that, and my mum wasn't healthy enough to really question me too much. And she knew I went out at night time. She'd say, "Where you been, son?" She'd come up every now and again. She'd wake up and I'd go, "Oh, I just went out for a walk. I couldn't sleep," you know.
Okay. So at age 7, having to give your mum safety pins to afford bread, and then at 16, was there any difference in the quality of life? Like, could your family start to afford food and clothes and that sort of thing?
Well, food.
Yeah.
Basically, if you ask me why I went pinching, eat.
Okay.
That was it, eat.
Okay.
As I say, my dad died when I was very young.
So what age was that?
I can't remember exactly. I was pretty young.
Was it before the shoplifting started?
Yes, it was, of course. Yes, it was.
All right.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you think if your dad was around, do you think that you still would have done the shoplifting, or do you think he would have really cracked down on it?
I'm sure I would have done. Yes,
Yeah.
I would.
Okay. Do you think your dad would have disapproved of it?
Oh yeah. Oh, he'd have killed me.
Okay.
Oh yeah. He died when I was very young. So yeah, no, he wouldn't. Although he was an East Ender, he wasn't in any way crooked.
Okay.
He dug road for a living, as I said, with a pick.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. And so, while you were shoplifting all the way up until 17, were you working honest jobs? Because you said you had that baker's job at 15.
Yeah.
And then were you working straight jobs all the way through?
Jobs. As I said to you, I carried the odd and Wavex and Whitbread Brewery and Hemmings Bakery, Price's Bread. I tried all the straight ways. I tried all the straight things.
What was it like working at Wavex?
Dreadful, full of dust and rubbish from the belt sanding. And what the guy used to do, he used to walk through the factory once a week in his posh suit. And you know what he gave us? A bottle of bloody milk. Yeah. They're supposed to cure the dust that we were breathing in. Wow. Yeah. And I knew then, I looked at him, oh.
So what was the job there exactly? Was it?
It's a belt sanding. It was a big machine with a big belt that went around on the machine, and there was a 9 of us, and they were bomb drum wings, very similar to this barrel. And there's, in the Korean War, there were bomb drum wings, and that's what they were made. As far as I know, they could have been beer barrels. I've got no idea. I was told they were bomb drum wings, and that's all I know. And I wasn't interested. I was only interested in how much money I was getting.
Okay.
So
yeah.
That's what belt sanding was. But I was covered in dust, and
yeah.
But that was my first experience of making a lady pregnant as well.
Really? What's that story?
It's quite interesting. I often wonder whether he's a great-grandfather now. I've got no idea, to be honest with you. I forget what they called it, whether it's lunch break or tea break or whatever it was, lunchtime. We get a mug of tea and a sandwich, and you take your own stuff, and you sit in an old canteen and eat that. And this woman came over and said all that. friend of mine thinks we're very nice. And of course, being a kid, I looked around and there was this old woman. She was about 23, 24.
So is this around that sort of 15, 16?
I was about 15 at the time, yeah. And I was 15 because I was 16 when the child was born, that's right. I looked around, she was very sweet and nice. And me being young, and they introduced us, and everything was lovely, and I made a date with her, and I had no idea what to do. I had no money to sort of start taking on thinking I couldn't afford to go to the pictures, or she was married, her husband lived upstairs or downstairs, one of the two, and she lived separate. And she told me that finished, and we got on a bus to Wood Green, and then we walked from Wood Green at the end of the bus stop, where the buses stopped, and walked up to a place called Alexander Palace, which it would be still there to this day, and that's at the end of a railway line.
So what was Alexander Palace like?
There's a massive great building where they put on shows, and there was a museum there, and no end of different things. I never really took a lot of notice, but it was a tourist centre. Okay. Yeah. It really was. Yeah. And we walked to the railways, and it was the end of the railway line. I broke into a carriage there, and we got in, and within 2 or 3 minutes, she didn't go undressed. She just took her bloomers off, or knickers off, or whatever it was in those days. And I lasted 2 or 3 minutes, and that was it. Then, about 6 weeks later, I'm told that she's pregnant, and then, of course, it went on from there. And I said, I'll tell her to get an abortion. In those days, you could go backstreet and get a backstreet abortion. And she wouldn't, and have nothing to do with me.
So were you still at work with the girl?
Sorry?
So how were you still in touch with this girl? Was she still at work with you?
Yeah, she was still there.
So even while she was pregnant, she was still working?
Oh yeah, she was only 6 weeks pregnant.
Oh wow! And what did her husband think? Did her husband find out?
Huh?
I said, did her husband find out?
Oh yeah. He was waiting for me at the exit where we used to go out on the exit.
So was that after work or on the carriage?
After work.
Okay, after work, yeah.
As I say, I used to get somebody to clock me out, and I used to go out the back way.
Okay.
And then I thought, I've had enough of this, and I thought, I've had enough of back door out, so I went out and I fronted him. And to this day, it amazed me. Maybe it was bullshit, I don't know. I was told that he was a judo and karate instructor, I don't know. I fronted him, he backed off, and that was it. I challenged him, I didn't have to hit him.
Really?
No, he just backed off and went.
And did you ever see him again?
No.
Do you know what happened with the kid? Did the girl end up having the...
No. All I heard was later on down the track that it was the largest or the heaviest baby born that week or that day in that hospital. And that's all I heard.
Did you ever hear anything about the kid? Did the kid ever try to reach out to you?
No, I've never heard about anything of my past.
Have you tried to get in touch with the kid at all? Are you interested?
No, not at all.
No.
I have made other ladies pregnant as well, further, yeah.
So, but was that further? Was that further down?
Oh yeah, that was the first one ever. Yeah.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
I did work the race courses, And I used to play the Crown and Anchor, the three cards trick, and the spinning jenny. And I'll just give you an example of that one. This will probably make you laugh, but just an experience of one of the games I used to play. It was team-handed. It's before I worked in Smithfield Meat Market. And it was pop it down, toss, you jolly will back 'em on, jolly will pay 'em. Even the reds, even the whites, 10 to 1 heart, 10 to 1 jolly old diamond toss. There we go, it's the reds, all the way, the reds, and one paid over there, one paid over there, one paid over there, one paid over there, all weighed, all paid, off we go again, toss. Round and round, here it goes, where it stopped, God only knows. I don't know, so I can't, jolly, what's the way it toss? And the same applied with the Crown and Anchor. Up the pot, and what have we got? Oh, look at that, 3 jolly old crowns. There was one paid over here, one paid over here, thank you, sir. All weighed, all paid, off we go again, just thank you. And bang, and that I can explain.
Okay.
But that's just an example of working the racetracks. I think that's enough.
Okay.
Because I'm breaking my neck for a shit.